Welcome into the official. I'm your host, Alfred. And of course, we have a great show for you this week. So, we are continuing our mock draft series. This is mock draft 2.0, and it's rounds 3 and 4 of the 2.0. So, when we did this the first time around, we kept track of the picks. We did this 2.0 round 1 and 2, and we saw where players maybe rose or fell from the previous mock. And now we're going to do rounds 3 and 4 and see where guys may have risen and fallen based on the mock before mock point 1.0. And there's not much else to it this episode, but everybody loves a mock. And so we're going to go ahead and get right to it for the 2024 freshman class. This is the official. All right, here we go. And, I don't even think there's a whole lot of things that we need to waste time with today, getting right into the mock. But I will mention our partners at Home Field Apparel. Go to homefieldapparel.com. Check out all the good stuff they have there. T-shirts from multiple colleges. They're comfortable. They are retro in nature usually, but what Home Field did is they partnered with each individual colleges and came up with designs taking from their history of mascots and their previous different kind of motifs and really came up with some unique stuff. I love it. I have multiple shirts. Don't have one on now, but I have probably 10, 12 shirts. And if you go to homefieldapparel.com, type in campus number 2 Canton as your promo code, you'll get 15% off your very first purchase. With that said, I always have to say, go visit campus2canton.com for kind of the full experience of what we do here. This official talks about recruiting, but the website as a whole, everything you need to know from college fantasy football, NFL, dynasty fantasy football, and everything in between. So go check that out as well. Membership starting at $2.99 a month. Without further ado, welcome Matt and David. Haven't even talked to you guys yet. Just went right into my spiel. But glad to see you guys. Good to have you, of course, as usual. You guys ready to mock it up?
Heck yeah.
Yep.
All right. Here we go. So without further ado, we're going to do rounds 3 and 4 of our mock. We're going to bring up our mock draft machine that Matt came up with, which makes it so much easier to track the picks. You can see right here, this is mock 2.0, but the round 1 and 2 here, we were looking at this right before we came on and remembering that we did this right before the Elite 11 finals. And, Matt pointed out Julian saying, tooting his own horn here. Pretty nice pick there. The back of the first round, he won MVP. He's now a top 10 player in the country and chasing Dylan Raiola for that top spot, although I doubt he'll get there. But kudos to Matt for nice value, Julian saying. I'll say I regret Luke Krovnoik ahead of saying. I also regret Ryan Puglisi, who I thought was a dark horse to have a really good Elite 11, and he was just kind of, he was okay, but inconsistent and clearly has a lot of work to do. David, you were mentioning, if we scroll down here, CJ Carr, you regret that pick a little bit there. It's at the end of the second round, so you can't be too bad.
Yeah. No, I don't regret it too much. It's just, I probably would have gone somewhere else, but I just don't have a good grasp on him, I feel like. Because at Notre Dame, I don't expect him to be like a crazy college producer, I guess. And then, I'm very torn on how I feel about him as an NFL prospect. I know, 3 of the services have him as, a day 2 pick. I'm, thinking more day 3, backup type guy, which essentially means nothing to us. But so that's kind of where I'm torn. But it's fine here.
And
just
Matt,
exciting.
Yeah, he's just not exciting, but he should have a good college career. And, I think an NFL backup at the end of the second round in a freshman mock is not even that bad. I mean, a lot of these guys won't make it to the NFL at all. Yeah. Matt, you were saying you liked your pick, Aaron Nolan, to begin the second round here. What did he do that at Elite 11 that kind of makes you look back and go, that was pretty good?
I think he just showed off his consistency, really. I mean, he just is a good, solid all-around performer. He wasn't the top guy in any event or anything, but just consistently very good. requisite physical abilities. He's put on some weight. He's a great interview. Super high character guy, smart guy. I like his odds of being the next multi-year starter at Ohio State.
Okay, very nice, very nice. All right, so that's a great thing to get at the beginning of the second round. So let's go ahead and move right on into 301. David, you are on the clock. You can see here the previous picks and take it away.
I'll take Walker White. I think we've talked about him quite a bit, but I just think the NFL is always going to be interested in his tools. Like he's athletic, he has a big arm, and like the Auburn QB room is super weak, so I think he could produce pretty early.
Oh, yep, that sounds good to me. So that means the difference of 18, Matt, you designed this, but I'm pretty sure that means that he's now 18 spots higher than he was in the previous draft.
Yeah.
So I guess he basically went at the end of the fourth last time, and now we're, even though he didn't go to the Elite 11 at all, we're liking him more. I support that, of course. Walker White, one of our basically kind of our guy here at the Official. He spent almost all of last year coming on for various episodes and keeping us up to date with his recruitment and everything. We wish him the best at Auburn. All right, Matt, 3.02. Oh, no, there was a problem.
So I will be going with Davon Mitchell, tight end, going to Oklahoma. We talked about him last week, just reclassified into 2024's class. Was originally a 2025 guy. I like the offense. I like his odds of being at least a year 2 starter, hopefully. And I think a super well-rounded profile, really good tight end.
Okay, that's a great pick. I mean,
I'm going Chris Moxley here, tight end heavy. I got last time.
We just brought him up last episode as because he just reclassified, and now you're picking him 302. So he's tight end 2 now on this board, and is that where he's going to sit for you as well?
At the moment, yeah, for sure. He's my tight end 2, tier 1 player. Honestly, I've been thinking about he could honestly bump Riddell for me. I think he has a better, well-rounded game. He doesn't have this, the super great long speed like Riddell has, which is very, tempting at least to keep him there at 1. But I think his game is better than him, his overall.
Okay, hey, we're not going to argue with you, man. David Mitchell, great tight ends. I mean, cornering the market on tight ends. Chris Moxley, like you said, he would be proud. All right, so I'm going to go here at 303 and take Perry Thompson, committed to Alabama. He is a top 10, I believe he's a top 10 wide receiver for me right now. And I think he's just kind of he's a big-bodied X, but he moves really well. I was pretty impressed with his tape. And, Alabama may have a down year this year, but this is still an NFL factory. And I'm pretty comfortable betting on that kind of alone, but I did like the tape as well. And, because they've been a little down on wide receivers, I think anybody who's, hashtag good can come in and play right away in that room. I know we're looking ahead to 2024, but I'm not terribly impressed with the depth of that room. So I think anybody who's good can come in. And so there we go. Yeah, 25 spots ahead of the last time, but seems pretty reasonable to me here at 303. Back to David for the 304.
I'll go with TJ Moore. He's a tier 2 receiver for me. I think he's one of 8 receivers that has an offer from Ohio State and Bama, and he's a good athlete. We got him at 21.9 miles per hour. He's got a 6'4" high jump, so he's got some explosiveness. Average 25 yards per catch. Blah blah blah. I'm a fan.
All right, sounds good to me. So Terrence Moore, I know, and he wound up at Clemson though, even though with those other offers.
Yeah, correct.
And we like that, honestly, with Garrett Riley. I'm that Clemson offense. I saw some tweets recently saying the Clemson offense, could very much come alive, and I totally am in on board with that. So that sounds good. And Matt, 305.
Yeah, I'll be taking a guy here that definitely I think should have went, in the first half of our draft here. Next time he definitely will. Jordan Marshall, running back, Michigan. He rose up for me. I think originally I wasn't in love with the traits, but he just has such a good all around profile. He's super safe. He put up some pretty impressive track times this offseason, and the model loves him. So I think him going to Michigan is just a perfect pairing. I think he pretty easily clears Cabana and Benjamin Hall once he gets there on campus.
All right. So yeah, and we love the Michigan running backs. I think that's not a problem to go ahead and bet on that program to produce NFL talent and to pound the rock. So he could very well get a high volume. I'm going basically just by the numbers here, my grades, my rankings. And I know this guy is probably not going to be high on many people's lists because he's going to Vanderbilt. But we talked about him last week, and this guy Johan Cardenas is all of our favorite running backs. He's big, he's fast, he catches passes, and we did do a little bit more of a deeper analysis on that Vanderbilt depth chart. And within a year, as a freshman, I mean, this guy could come in and produce for your fantasy team right away. And in the transfer portal and everything, I mean, if he's spectacular right away, and as he looks pretty good, he could earn himself, a better scholarship somewhere else. And, he may not even wind up at Vandy at all. We still have plenty of time for the big name schools to come in and swipe him. So we believe in the talent. I think it's really good. And so I'm just going to go ahead and take him here, despite taking a guy going to Vandy, in the third round of a freshman mock, which seems a little unusual.
He would have been my next pick here. So,
all right. So it's reasonable.
Yeah.
All right, David, back to you for the 307.
307. I'll go with Jason Brown. He's kind of another one of these running back. He's still on the board, right?
I believe so, yeah. Yes.
He's just another pretty solid running back. He has the size you want. I think he's around like an 80th percentile athlete in the database. And I like the options. I think he's deciding between Washington and Michigan State, which both of those running back rooms aren't the strongest right now. So another guy, that I think could potentially contribute relatively early in his career. So he's kind of another safe-ish running back for me.
All right, that sounds good. Matt, 308.
You guys are making me triple down here on the tight ends. I have the next highest player on my board here is Caleb Odom. Committed to Alabama this week or last week. He probably one of the best receiving tight ends in this class. He doesn't play any inline at the moment, ex-receiver, but he's huge. He's super bursty and athletic. I mean, we talk about the basketball all the time here, but he has some amazing basketball dunks. His highlights are very good in that area, and he's very good on the field too. He's just a typical big-bodied X. Honestly, he's probably better off at receiver, but he's probably gonna grow a bit more, and they'll transition him to inline, and they'll teach him how to play inline there. They have a great history of that there at Alabama. So I like his odds.
Yeah, I never have a problem, like I said before, betting on an Alabama recruit. So, and they've had a history of some really good tight ends, not as much recently, but certainly for a little bit there, they were just churning them out. And I agree with you in terms of his receiving ability, pretty spectacular, great route runner. I think we did talk about him in our top 10. He's in everyone's top 10 pretty much. So I'm going to do a bit of a curveball here. A guy that I kind of am just like betting on the athletic upside on a program that seems to be pretty good right now at identifying these kind of athletic freaks and then figuring out a way to get the ball in their hands. And I like Courtney Crutchfield, who's from the state of Arkansas and going to the University of Arkansas as 6'2", 175, and just a good playmaker. And so that's what I'm going to do here. And we didn't even draft him last time, but seeing some other buzz, some people talking about him, and just kind of like buying in a little bit of the Kool-Aid on Arkansas and what they've been able to do with some of these athletes in recent memory. So Traylon Burks, Raheem Sanders, AJ Green, we like Rashad Dubignon. So they've just been doing pretty good identifying some talent recently. David, you are up with the 310.
So I think this is a pretty strong tight end class. That's why I was somewhat willing to wait, although I think the top guys are very good as well. But I'm just going to go with Landon Thomas here. He's going to Florida, was originally committed to Georgia, going to Florida State. It's a good program. He's well-rounded, does everything well, honestly. And he's already got the size we want. I'm pretty sure he's pushing 245. I haven't looked in a while. I think he's like 6'5", 245. And there actually is some blocking on his tape, believe it or not. A lot of these guys don't have that. So I just think he's going to be a super solid player and likely like a day 2 draft pick.
All right. Yep. Can't argue there either. I do like the tight end class. We definitely mentioned that on our top 10s when we were going over all these guys, and pretty comfortable with the class as a whole. So, Matt, 311, you get to take another tight end here? I kind of hope you don't.
No, there's a bit of drop off here, tight end for me. So I'll wait a little bit there. I probably could wait on this guy. A lot longer, actually, since I know I'm the highest one here on him. But he's my highest graded player at this point, so I'll just go with him. Tysier Denmark, wide receiver, going to Penn State. I talked about him pretty extensively last week, so I won't go too much into it. But I really love his well-rounded game, and I think the Penn State wide receiver room is pretty open for the taking.
Yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable to me. And we did talk about him last week, so no need to continue on that track. I'm going to go with a guy that I personally kind of fell in love with doing those top 10s, a guy that I took a look at. And, it may seem high, but we talked about him before, and now there's been a run on tight ends. I don't want to get left without a tight ends. I'm going to go Michael Smith, going to South Carolina. Really impressive in kind of all the phases of the game. And the way he plays, I think he's got that dog in him, which for tight ends, I'm going to be, I'm going to gravitate to that type of player, at least at that position. And I've got back-to-back here. I'm going to break Matt's heart and go Kyan Barry Johnson. And I know he was a 3-star find by Matt, and way, way down the list. We've talked about him a few times, and every time we talk about him, every time I watch this guy, I ask myself, why not in terms of his role in the offense, going to Wisconsin, playing the slot role. The tape looks spectacular. I don't care if he's a 3-star. I want this guy on my fantasy teams, and with not that many super impressive players still hanging around here, because I think the class as a whole is a little weak. I'm going to just take him because the role in that Wisconsin offense, the Longo offense, he could beat Josh Downs in year 1 or 2. So in terms of production. So I'm going for it. Kyan Barry Johnson, maybe it's crazy. Put him on my team.
I love him, but yeah, even there is a bit high for me.
All right. So you're back up, though.
Oh, I am. I did not even notice that. I got a big block of quarterbacks here that I could skip over because I'm already good at quarterback. So yeah, I'll just go my top running back left, which is Frankie Arthur, uncommitted running back. I actually don't think we've talked about him a ton. He's Adrian Pearson's little brother somehow. I don't really know how the math on that works out, but everyone's saying it, so I assume it's true. Currently projected to go to SMU, I think, which would be a pretty interesting spot. I'm really just hoping he goes to a CFF productive spot, which a lot of these running backs in this class aren't, which has kind of left me to bumping them down. But Arthur is a really good athlete, highly productive. A 10.6 100 meter at 200-ish pounds, 5'10". I think there's a lot to like there. Decent receiving ability too. Lots of upside, good production, potentially good CFF spot. Lots to like there.
Yeah, I like Frankie Arthur myself. He is definitely on my list of guys I'm interested in. So good call there, David. And we're now 4 in a row on guys who were not even drafted last time we did this mock. I think that's really a lesson for everyone that obviously we're doing this way out, but these names, bubble up to the surface, and guys we didn't even have on our list necessarily last time are being drafted here in the first 4 rounds. So this is a very much a moving target, which is why it's a good exercise to do so far out. So sorry about the interruption, David. 403.
All right. I'm actually out of tier 2 running backs, but I'm going to trust Alfred's scouting eye here. Actually, both of you guys like this guy. David Eziomume.
Yeah.
I think you had him tier 1. We talked about him last week, but he's super jacked. I saw some pictures of him recently. I mean, he's got the running back body you want, and he's one of the best pass catchers in this class for running backs. I think the only question is we just want to see more production as a senior. That was like the main issue. So I think he'll answer those questions. I'm not really too concerned. So I'm going to kind of block Alfred here and take his guy.
No, that's fair, and I appreciate that. I think he is high on my list, and I was looking at my rankings, and I think I didn't even look high enough, assuming that the pre-pill at the top of the list were taken. But yeah, I mean, he's very high up for me, and I hope maybe the services will come around. We still got some time here, but I like the offense as well. We just talked about the Clemson offense, and I'm happy to invest in that. So good pick there, I think. And I'm going a guy here after the Elite 11. He was not really on our list. He was like somewhat interesting, but now, he has become a top 15, top 16 guy on 24/7. He's still top 25 in the composite, so didn't raise that much. But this is a guy that looked good, and he's dual threat, and he's going to a great situation for fantasy. At this point, we're not necessarily banking on NFL upside, and I'm not sure I would feel super confident in that for Will Hammond. But he's going to Texas Tech, and he's dual threat, and he showed well on a big stage at Elite 11. At this point, I kind of feel pretty good about this. So discount version of like the guys who are dual threat with the high upside like Lagway, Kromanoic, and all that, but you're getting that kind of upside way later. So I kind of like that. Matt, 405.
So there's still a quarterback on the board that I have the guys grade on, but I've got 4 quarterbacks already, so I'm just going to take my top-rated skill player, which is Ryan Wingo, uncommitted wide receiver, looking like Texas, which I don't love. They're getting pretty stacked there in that wide receiver room. I think I'm actually the low man, of the current submitted rankings, at least, on Wingo. I watched this full game tape, wasn't quite as in love with it as the services are. I believe 24/7 has him as wide receiver 2 still. I think Rivals does as well. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, he's high on everyone's list.
Very, very high by the services. Athletic freak, just didn't quite show enough on the tape. I think especially here, this is good value at this point considering his upside.
Fair enough. All right. I know, and Wingo, I think, continues to be someone who's just there's a disconnect with the services and what our team has seen. But I think you laid it out pretty well there. And so pretty good value for an athletic freak. Maybe he puts it all together. David, 406.
I'll go with, I don't have a great grade on him. The more that I think about it after digging for more athletic numbers, I'll just go with Carter Nelson here as an upside play. I think he's going to take a while to develop, honestly. He's going from 8v8 competition in Nebraska. But he's got a 7-foot high jump, and he runs like a 4.5 40, somewhere around there. His listed size is kind of all over the place. I've seen 6'4", 205, which would not be ideal, but he's just like a freak, and hopefully he develops in Nebraska. So I think he has NFL upside at least.
All right. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, Nebraska is definitely got their hands full with some interesting players over the last 2 cycles. I think Matt Rule is doing a decent job, and we know he did a decent job at previous stops as well. All right, so I'm back up with the 407, and I'm going to take a guy that I think I'm the only one that seems to like him a lot, but it's Cameron Jones, who recently committed to UCLA. This guy's just kind of a unique player in this class. He's 240 pounds, I believe, listed on three, which is just hard to believe. You do not see a running back listed at that size, but he hit tops 20 miles per hour. He looks bursty to me. He also shows evidence of being able to receive out of the backfield. And I think, the ideal situation is he is kind of that Zach Charbonnet starting in 2024 for that UCL offense. So we know at least for CFF that was great. And then, he got drafted in the second round to Seattle. So, I mean, that archetype certainly can get drafted. Over 20 miles per hour, 240 pounds, with a running back who can catch passes. That's the nutshell. So, Matt, you're up for 408.
All right. Also, I did bump Cameron Jones up recently. I think he's growing on me a bit. Nowhere near as high as you, but he's a top 20 back for me now. So
there we go.
I'm not out.
I'll take it.
Anyway, my next pick here, I think I'm gonna go with Jamiri Colley, wide receiver out of Texas, committed to SMU. I first brought him up last year on our 2024 preview show.
I haven't seen this name
Early. Well, it was September last year. We did our preview show of the 2024 class. He was one of the 3 wide receivers I brought up. Big body, good athlete. I think it's just a ton to like there. Definitely a big jump ball X guy. I think him going to SMU is like a really perfect combination of talent meets landing spot. Where SMU has historically done great at developing wide receivers and producing at a high level. I think he's an NFL talent guy, and you're getting the premier CFF spot. So he's one of those guys where I think is just a perfect mix to be like a high-end C2C player.
Yeah, wow, that's a nice name. From way downtown going to SMU. Is that our first G5 player? So congratulations there. They're still G5 after realignments and conference affiliations, I'm pretty sure. They're not.
Yeah, I think so. Unless
G5.
I missed something.
No, I don't think so. All right, David, 409. We're getting close to the end here.
I'll go with the homer pick, Cam Williams. Got to stack him with CJ Carr here. He's another. I'm just
the
sticking
old
with
Notre
the
Dame
three.
stack for all the
The old
marbles.
MD stack. That's going to win you a lot of money, folks. So he's like a 92nd percentile athlete. Real Analytics got him at 22 miles per hour. And he's not small, 6'2", 190. And he has a 24-foot long jump. So my only real knock on him was it seemed like his balance wasn't great on a lot of his breaks and stuff in his routes. But if you can clean that up, he definitely has a high ceiling.
Okay. All right. So there we go. Cam Williams, and I am up now. This gets tough because I just want to take players that, are probably way too low, or it's just they're going to come out of left field here, but this is fantasy. It's not necessarily. And a guy I have really high ranked, and I'm happy to take him here, is Jakari Williams, QB, going to Syracuse at the moment. He's out of the state of Georgia, so he's at a small private school in Macon, Georgia. But, I've got this guy rated pretty high as a top 10-ish quarterback for me. And, I think he's a good scrambler. He's over 200 pounds, I believe, if I've got that right. Right about 200 pounds. He's a bigger guy. And, I just like what I've seen from him, kind of a toolsy prospect going to a place that has produced some fantasy relevant guys in recent memory. So the Syracuse offense has been kind of nice of late. So Jakari Williams and some of these guys at lower level schools, I think maybe if we believe in the talent, we'll believe that they'll wind up maybe at a higher school by the time signing day rolls around. So Matt, 411.
Yeah, I'm going to finally take Trevor Jackson here. He's been my highest rated player on the board for 5 picks now. So I knew neither of you were going to take him now, so that's fine. I've talked about him a ton already, but super high end potential guy. We'll see where he ends up at college, and I'm hoping for a big senior year from him.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice pick. I actually need to put an actual grade on him, I think. Obviously, I've heard you talking about it. I've watched him myself. I don't think I've actually sat down and given him a grade yet, or else he would probably be up there. So maybe you lucked out. Next time, mock 3.0, I wouldn't
I'll
wait
have to
till
keep that in
411.
mind.
All right, 412, David. Round us out.
Let's just keep the QB streak alive. I'm gonna go with Samaj Jones.
Yes!
He's just a fun player. I don't know, like Lou. So wait, excuse me. Where is he going again?
I got to look
Cincy.
because I know.
Yeah. Okay. So since he just hired Scott Satterfield from Louisville, right? And
Yes.
so, anyways, he made Malik Cunningham super fantasy relevant. Hopefully, we get something like that. But anyways, he's a really good runner.
Great runner. One of the better in the class, in my opinion.
You know, I think like 20.6 miles per hour or whatever. That's actually pretty good for a quarterback, especially he's like pushing 220 pounds. But he's got a huge arm actually for a smaller guy, and he plays good competition. He's just like a fun pick. I think could be a pretty good producer.
5'11", 218. You don't see quarterbacks with those measurables very often. And he has been high on my list. I've almost been afraid to tell people because, he's a smaller guy. But, like, the tape alone is super impressive. I agree with that arm. There's one throw, I tweeted it out and said, this throw from Samaj Jones looks like the Michael Vick commercial, or the Gatorade commercial. There's one he's rolling out to his right-hand side and basically chucks it up left hash all the way. 50, 60 yards downfield, if I'm remembering correctly. It's just an absolute bomb. So he's got a cannon. He's very fast, incredibly twitchy. I like that pick. I'm shocked that you did it, but I like it. I'm glad you're in on him a little bit too, because I know I am. But it's a name we haven't even thrown around yet. So welcome to the show, Samaj Jones. All right, so that is our draft. I didn't really recap too much because we had it up on the screen. But, for those listening on podcast form, we went starting in the third round here. Walker White, Devon Mitchell going to recently committed to Oklahoma. He's a tight end. Perry Thompson, Terrence Moore, Jordan Marshall, Johan Cardenas, Jason Brown, Caleb Odom, Courtney Crutchfield, Landon Thomas, Tyseer Denmark, Michael Smith ended the third round. We started the fourth round off with Kyan Barry Johnson, which even from Matt, who's driving the train, said that's too early for Barry Johnson. Frankie Arthur, David Eziomume, Will Hammond, Ryan Wingo, Carter Nelson, Cam Jones, Jamiri Cawley, Cam Williams, Jakari Williams, Trevor Jackson, and then Samaj Jones to round out the fourth round. Good mock, guys. And look at this. If you're listening on podcast, I'll point it out. But starting basically in the end of the third round, the rest of those names are guys we didn't even mention in the first mock. So once again, just to highlight how much things can change, how guys are falling. As we discover new talent in the 3 stars, we will bump them up because fantasy is different than reality. And also, I think here at Campus to Canton, we feel very comfortable based on our history. If we identify a 3-star that we think is better, we'll put them up there because that happens all the time in real life. So there we go. Any final words, guys? I thought it was a good mock.
No, I'm good. I like our progress here. I'm excited to do the next one. These are always fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do 3.0 in about a month or so. All right. Without further ado, everybody, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. This has been The Official.